How are we now for volume? Okay. Shane or Julian, can you let me know if volume's okay, please? Yeah. Awkward pauses and silences. Yeah. Um, whether I am quiet or not, big welcome to fellow Moodleists. It's just like it feels like coming home. I've been kind of away from Moodle community. Well, not really away, but I've been kind of lurking in the sideways because I've had some pretty hectic last 12 months working in a school with some sort of at-risk youth. But we did Moodle there. Um, and yesterday was actually my last day of classroom teaching after what, about 12 years of being a teacher. So I'm kind of with one foot in the higher education. I'm starting my PhD in July, finish teaching, and this coming month I'll just be working on a Moodle for our organisation. So I can kind of be a bit more participative in Moodle community bit as well. Okay, now I haven't got the confirmation that you guys can hear me, so I'm just talking blind here. Someone please, the chat is you either can't hear me or chat's not working, so please let me know.
Sorry, Thomas, Julian here. Chat is working. I think sadly you're the only one who can't seem to see it. We can hear you perfectly well.
Okay, fine then. But I will kind of need the chat. Julian, in that case, you'll just have to help me entering those things on the slide because chat was, there you go. There goes the key strategy, goes the chat. Yeah, but that's okay. We'll be fine. Okay, now let's make a start. Title, instruction, construction, deconstruction. I hope it makes a little bit of sense at the end. Okay. So I think this would be a kind of a moot point, really, to ask you these questions and do little polls and things like that, and who went to school, who went to university, who got regularly tested, who got grades, who's done quizzes, exams, and who saw the teacher, or you are the teacher, perhaps you kind of the owner of the knowledge. You're the one who knows and has to know what is to be known. Okay. And you've attended school or you do it yourself where you instruct and you as a student or your students will listen. And of course, there was their content or material to be learned and repeated the right way. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, it looks like the screen's cut off a little bit. Yeah, the PowerPoint has converted, chopped things off a little bit for me, but that's okay. We'll manage. I'm a teacher. Think on my feet. So I would imagine that if you can actually see all these points, please, and a bit of a practice anyway, you'll see a little icon with the little icon of a person raising the hand and just say, I agree. Okay, so Gavin, hi Gavin. Okay. Teresa, how are you? There you go. Anna, oh, I hope that's not my wife. Yeah, my wife's name's Anna. Hi, Anna. Okay. It's kind of the thing that's the school as we know it. Okay, it's that comfortable one that it's been around forever. Well, actually not forever. It's only for last couple of hundred years, but this is not about that. And it's something that a lot of people are actually not that comfortable with. Okay. Now, I'm saying this because this is kind of, it sums up nicely, if you like, a particular view, a world view of what education is, what it should do, and based on that world view, we then base our practices on. Okay, so in a little cut-off graphic that cut off instruction, the top it says instruction. It's a positivist paradigm, if you like. And this is how do we know? We set objectives, we discover what's there, we generalize, we replicate, we test, we generate data, and we impart, pass on the knowledge, and there's one truth. Okay? It's very scientific, it's very orderly. The communication we understand is a transmission from the person, usually the person who knows, to the person who doesn't know. Okay, it's usually a one-way street. Okay, um, if a positivist had a personality disorder, it likely would be obsessive compulsive. Hence the little hence the little picture there of sharpening pencils and all that. And the teacher's slogan, which were kind of popular, I don't particularly like them, but some people do, so I put it in there, would be sort of the sage on the stage. Okay. And the positivist would say, I see the world primarily through the instrument of science. Knowledge and truth can be discovered using instruments that measure the world. I like to understand and analyze it. Okay. I have I I work out the laws and rules that underpin it. I need the correct instruments to measure it. And most things that happen in schools can be readily measured, including knowledge. Okay, that's the a traditional, if you like, view of schooling. Okay, now what are some of the Moodle tools that you know that best support this view? Okay, I know Moodle was kind of more towards, and Martin sort of stresses it, and often at pains that, and we'll get to this particular view that it's all about collaboration, people working together. But then again, Moodle does support this particular view, okay, which is not without its merit. I mean, I'd like my chemist to be confident and measure exactly what dose to give my child, okay. I don't want my chemist to go and maybe discuss it and all that. My chemist needs to know. The engineer that builds the bridge that I drive on, I want them to know. Uh-huh. So what are and I want them to be qualified. I want them to be assessed and passed certain certification level for them to be able to practice it. So what are some of the tools that first spring to mind um, when you think of this particular worldview? Okay, so I can't see the chat. Um, this is where the trouble lies a little bit. If I could see the chat, we could probably do it straight away. But I'm asking Julian to perhaps type in on the whiteboard to what's in the chat for me to see. Perhaps we can interact that way. I would much prefer that we're all in the room, but prices of petrol and all that. Yeah. Okay. So what are the Moodle? Okay. Quiz. I mean, quiz is quintessential positivist. I mean, Tim Hunt has done a phenomenal job. Teams love the man, and he's a fantastic mathematician. But he's got that analytical, clear. Let's get it down to. I mean, I love seeing his stuff. How do you tweak the percentages and with this type of question? I mean, it's fascinating to see. Files. Absolutely. Whoever said that files, absolutely. It's kind of this is information you need to know. Right? We assume that we put it up there, we dump and pump, right? Um, uh, Page, labels, instruction. Yeah, the sort of one-way stuff. Okay. Lesson, for example. Yeah. Assignment, there's a classic one. And yes, there's some fantastic improvements to assignment afoot, and I'm sure Mark Drexler will tell you all about it. And when long overdue as well. But essentially, assignment is that it really fits into that particular paradigm. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see as I flick back and forwards to the slides. On that positivist slide again. I assume, but then yeah, score modules, absolutely. Okay, so one-way stuff. Okay, now on the next slide, I hope you can see it, is what are some of the benefits of this particular view? that you think? Why do we need, we're talking social constructivism, we're talking people collaborating, that's the string, but then we have this thing, called assignment and quiz and, files and all that. Why the hell we do have that stuff? Why the hell would Martin just say, well, do away with that? Right? So what are the benefits of this particular view? And I remind you um, of that positivistic view. It's very scientific. We need data. We need that. I'm just going to wait a little bit for Julian to perhaps pick up things from the chat. Huh. Okay. So benefits and problems with that view at the same time. Keeps instructors happy, definitely. Okay, especially if the instructors are of the view or perhaps of the position that particular organization requires them to be, that they are to deliver. Huh? Academy is happy, yeah. Easy to prepare, easy to replicate, easy to administer. I mean, you try to do data collection of 200 students in your psychology 101, one big group discussion versus a quick quiz. I mean, yeah. Get us, yeah. It's a good. That can be a fantastic stimulus. Yeah, yeah, very. What about some of the problems with this view? I haven't got any. I haven't got any here. Because there are. I mean, I don't believe in a magic wand that will just save the world. And if everyone did this, well, the world would be a boring place. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty boring. That's a good point. Yeah. That's the sole approach. Absolutely. When we start interpreting people as sort of data points, um, that all you're worth is what you've done on the quiz, not self-paced or directed. Yeah. Okay. On this self-pacing and direction, I mean, it's still when you can structure a lesson or a course still in a very lockstep manner as well, and it can be very positivist sort of as well. We know what you need to know, and these are the steps for you to get it. Yeah. What matters are you just might have controls on the pace, which, as you said, that could be a good thing. Kinesthetic learners, good one. Yeah. Okay. Well, not much in Moodle actually supports kinesthetic learners, and if that's the case, really. I mean, unless you got, unless you're really going to go. I mean, I've had kids playing Wii or recording themselves on and then posting. I think there's a presentation on video assignment the other day. Yeah. Yeah, I love the bottom one. Rest of the world knows more than any one teacher on any given topic. It's the key, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So we assume in that positivistic manner the teacher is the font of the knowledge. I often call it educational cancer. There is always a one right way, and the teacher has it. Fantastic. And thank you for your participation. This is fantastic. We are keeping these slides, and with your permission, I will reuse these on probably a post on my blog or something like that. Okay. So is there a better way to educate and be educated? Okay. And if so, examples, please. Whoops. I just gave you a hint. Okay. And if Martin is Martin around? No, he's not here. He'll probably recognize the next few slides. So what's a better way to educate and be educated? Now, don't be all just nice moodlers and say what Martin says, okay? I'm not going to. interaction, feedback. Teaching us meant to. Okay. Okay. Lifelong learning. Aha. Okay. Interesting point about lifelong learning. Yeah. And interesting, all these sort of as you write these things, I'm thinking, God, we could have fantastic conversation about each of these terms. For example, lifelong learning, yeah, active learning, working together to solve a problem. Let's face it, you're damn right. I mean, the world is full of problems, isn't it? Yeah, increasingly so, and it's something we're going to talk about very soon. Yeah. What about people who prefer passive learning? Someone said active learning. We assume that they like active learning and all that, but what about the kid who just wants the workshops or worksheets, loves the quizzes, yeah, project-based learning? It's meant as a teaser. Sorry, I'm not expecting elaborate answers and all that, but since I have the floor, I can pick whatever I want. Okay, apologies for that. This would be much easier in a pub, perhaps. Yeah. That's fantastic. Oh, you lot, you're really kind, right? You belong to this EdTech brigade that it's on about. Would say this is progressive teaching and learning. And look, I'm up there with you. Okay, I'm up there with you. So these are the Martin's 5 laws. That kind of it's kind of thought of or throughout as Martin has been building Moodle, right? We learn particularly well from the act of creating and expressing something for others to see. Okay, and I think we'll tick a lot of the boxes that you mentioned in the previous slide. And now we could just go on about this and me to see how much you know of this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, look, you can look up the answers, look up Moodle Docs pedagogy, and you'll see these, what Martin and others have written. Okay, but let's just have a few in there for the purpose of kind of for people who may not be particularly familiar with it, and if you throw some of them in, that'd be great. Okay, so in a forum we express things for others to see. Okay, um, these things are public, and that is the heart of using Moodle. I'm really looking forward to. I missed Vinnie Stocker's presentation on 101 users of forum. It's something I've always believed. Forum is the heart of Moodle. I've done presentations on it myself, and it is where pennies drop so many times. Okay, workshop, fantastic addition. Really quite a complex tool, but in the right hands, amazingly useful. Okay. Blog to see. Moodles are poor. It's a pretty sort of rough wiki, but I tell you what, if you got the right mindset, I think you can do with Moodle Wiki. You can do pretty well with a Moodle Wiki. I mean, sometimes we get caught in this sort of design debate. Yeah, and Martin would be the first one to say, yeah, we need to make a better wiki. And if he hadn't said that, we wouldn't be working on a wiki, but or Moodle wouldn't be working on a wiki. But let's not get kind of design. I don't think design's in a way of good use in that case. Yeah. But that's my personal opinion. Yeah, and I could back that one up perhaps with examples. Connect Mahara Pukunui. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Fantastic. Now we learn a lot by just observing the activity of our peers. How does Moodle support this? How do we see that? What are they doing? I would imagine a lot of the tools from the previous page would um, would come in here. Anything that we haven't perhaps mentioned? Look, have we mentioned forums? We have wikis, glossaries, um, comments, which is the latest edition, um, blogs. Yeah. Yeah, glossaries are very good. Yeah. Okay, forum. Yep. Yeah, they kind of, yeah. Peer review function. Yeah. And we're adding, there's some good plugins around for things like that. Look forward to Gavin, I'm sure, speaking a bit more about that. Okay, submitted poll ideas. Poll is a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, if you open the answers, yeah. Feedback. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, and even things like, even the lamest things sometimes, the online users, or the recent activity, stuff like that. I mean, we don't think twice about it, but it's actually it's handy. And a lot of people actually appreciate that. Okay? By understanding the context of others, we can teach in a more transformational way. Now, there's a big statement. What goes in there? How does Moodle support that? I mean, how do we understand the context of others and teach in a more transformational way? I mean, pretty big statements. And Martin does explain himself a little bit more in the docs. Yeah, blog is it's a prime example. Yeah, yeah, the right sort of assignment. Yeah, I've asked kids the questions in the past of how would you write this question? I didn't ask them about the answers. I actually asked them about the questions, and the conversation we had about the questions were actually much better than questions about the answers. That actually got a lot more thinking going in a conversation than, and it wasn't necessarily murder. It was used as a sort of hybrid. Then a conversation just about the answers. Yeah, groups. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, quiz results. Yeah, we can really analyze, responses and things where things went wrong, and now we just can sort of mechanically look at it and say, well, question 5 needs to be tweaked, or do we really ask the question? Now, hang on, why did that happen, right? And then rather than working out yourselves, perhaps we can ask our students, if of course we have the time. Okay, right. Okay, what about the last one? No, section, we got 2 to go. Flexible and adaptable, so it can quickly respond to the needs of participant within it. Is Moodle flexible enough? And I dare you say no, right? Because this is iMoot, and okay, I'm just joking, right? My lame attempt at humor every now and then. I'm a dad after all. Oh, sorry. No, you didn't. Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean, it's a flexible beast, really is. And I wish it came. It's like what they're saying. I wish every book would come with the time to read it, and I wish every Moodle would come out with the time to really get stuck into it and see what this baby can do. Because and I'm not sure if you have had the feeling, but do try sometimes. Get yourself a fresh new Moodle and just think, oh, your mind goes, oh right, I can do this, I can do this. So, and it's that convergence of sort of pedagogy, technology that's and of course your content knowledge of a particular that's where the magic happens. Yeah, if you on that particular thing that I mentioned as the sort of TPAC model that you might have heard, TPCK or TPACK. You look it up. Punya Mishra stuff. Good stuff. Great. Okay. Too much lockdown by admins. Yeah, unless you're the admin. Yeah, flexible permissions. And this kind of heads into the last one. All of us are potential teachers as well as learners. In a true collaborative environment, we have both. Where do we have examples of that? The forum keeps popping up, yeah. and it's right. Turn on the ratings sometimes and see what the kids go to town with ratings. Except understand that ratings will automatically enter the gradebook. if you turn them on. So unless you want things messed up there and you want too much manual grading, you must need to you probably want to tweak that capability. Rubrics, great addition. Great addition. The what I think would be, of course, this is in if you have time for it, of course. What's the best thing about rubrics is that they can be actually constructed together in a true collaborative fashion, if you like, right? Or the workshop, for example, criteria work pretty much the same. Okay? Um, that's where the nugget lies, right? Not you saying, okay, well, you guys will get to grade, but I'll decide on the criteria, okay? Because it's in deciding on a criteria that's where the most powerful learning happens. Just like with the wiki, is not it's like Cory Doctorow says, you don't read it if you read Wikipedia like Britannica, it sucks, but if you read Wikipedia like Wikipedia, it says it's mind blowing because you can see all the discussions, the edits, and all that's gone on onto the article. Okay, that's great, fantastic, great contribution. Thank you. Okay, so we have in a similar fashion. There's a little graphic on sort of this constructivist construction. Okay, this is the construction paradigm, or in other words, to kind of sum it up, interpretivist. And we'll see why interpretivist in a particular, why interpretivist. This is your sort of constructivism, constructionism. There is a difference between the two, but not the scope of today. And in this particular view of the world, or view of what education need to, what best education, if you like, is we understand that we construct meaning. Okay, it isn't one there to be picked up and run with. It's actually we make sense between our two ears. Okay, um, uh, we we need to analyze our individual and shared meanings. Okay, we don't just rely on purely scientific. Um, Truths are many. We must understand the world from the perspective of individuals, different communities. I mean, they have different beliefs, different values, different understandings. We can't simply ignore that and say, well, you are 23% wrong and I'm 27% right. I mean, it doesn't happen in the real world, does it? So therefore, education should focus on understanding the world, the individual, and the experience, and supporting the individual development as members of and within a community, right? Which is a big word in a Moodle world. We try to sort of nurture that sense of community. And I mean, you look at Moodle.org and the contribution of thousands of people over time. I mean, that's just a perfect example of it. So in this case, a teacher is a guide on the side. Okay. Oh, I found it yesterday. My mum, one of my wife's friends, she posted this: how to build a community. It's all about know your neighbors, be nice, help grannies across the road. It's all nice. I'm not being facetious. I mean, it's nice, right? But you know what? We just don't have time for community sometimes. Okay. Okay. Now, benefits of this view and problems with this view. Let's thrash it out. And I'm particularly interested with problems. We all kind of know, yeah, benefits nice. We individualize, we customize, we consider, we take into account um, individual styles and preferences and all the rest of it. Okay, so they're the benefits that. But what I'm really more interested in problems. So perhaps think of the problems a bit more. That'd be great. Okay. Now I ask you, is it? It's me, yeah. And that's an important thing. Teachers, we do things as much as we say, yeah, this is a benefit for the students and all that. Well, you know what? We do things the way it suits us a lot of the times. And we might have a student that they may not be particularly inclined to that particular view, but we somehow believe this is a superior or better way of educating. So we kind of push on, and the one we're comfortable with, and we do it all the time, knowingly or unknowingly. Right? Yes, not the approach high students indoctrinated with. Absolutely. Yes, and things take time, don't they? They're not as they're not as kind of efficient as your sort of positivist. Here comes my family. If you hear strange noises, it's them returning. Um, yeah, and you know, and does what does this approach deep down? But what does this approach really change? Um, um, yeah, an excuse for no action, no change. That's a good point as well. What does it need? Is this in schools, for example? Is it just a different way, or maybe nicer way of getting kids to learn what we want? Right? It's just nicer because we listen, but at the end, they'll still arrive at what we want them to know, right? In which case, it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a con job, really, a bit of a trick. Okay, institution are fantastic. Takes more time and passion and energy. Absolutely hard to sell to some parents. See, there's so many stakeholders in education. Everyone's an expert in education, what it should be, right? Um, that's why it's such a damn hard thing to work in education, particularly in schools. Right? And as teachers, we never want. Actually, what is the job? What does a teacher work on? What does a teacher work on? What is that? What is does he or she work on a student or a society or economy? What herself? What exactly is the object of a mechanic works on a car? Right? Anyway, I'm going to digress too much. Okay. Someone tweeted today, students need feedback, not grades. Well, really? Who says? Is it because we'd like them to have feedback, or is it, or because we don't like grades, but some kids actually do? And we might just think that's wrong, and some parents might think it's right. So it's not that it's not so clear cut, despite all our best intentions. Okay. Um, right. So I'm glad you pull it apart a bit, look a bit more pros and benefits. That's okay. Feel free to add the benefits. I firmly believe there's actually an awful lot of benefits, but just I kind of didn't want to go too soppy, be all us holding hands in kumbaya. Okay, so let's pull it apart. Okay, what do you know about this guy? Tell you what, if I had a little Fredo frog and all that, I'd say, who is this guy? A bit of external reward. See, come on, see if someone comes up with it. It's an image. You can't Google it up. Yeah. Okay. Now, quick recap before we get into this guy and another sort of paradigm associated with it is the positivist approach is how education system mostly is. Okay. And sadly, most of use of Moodle is that way. I mean, mostly sadly because we are still seeing that, yeah, 5 files on a quiz. Thank you very much. See you later. Okay. Um, so that's how education system mostly is designed for. Okay, it's system of certification, grading, down to even though it's such a sometimes false idea, but we still go along with it. I mean, politicians fund schools on the basis of it. Okay, interpretivist one is how most sort of edu tweeters and techies and like myself and yourself and Moodlers we sort of like to see us sort of ourselves as progressive. It, it's how we would like it to be, and it's in according to that, it's how we would like to use Moodle on the base of it as well. So see how that sort of worldview of what ought to be is underpinning the use of Moodle as well. Now, look at the world. That's the one, the broken guitar, Stefan Rinke. Well done. You get, Siggy, sorry. Yeah, well done. It's Dave Carroll. I had the link to it. I'd put it in the chat, but I can't. Yeah, but look at the world around us. It's a fast changing world. The world is not just sort of collaborating more and talking to each other more. It's actually really changing its fabric, and it's happening damn fast. I mean, look, we got economies and people's livelihoods. Millions rely on these intensifying stock market speculations. They react to little rumors. We have politics of spectacle and where appearances matter most, not the substance. We've outsourced care from families and friends to paid professionals. My wife is one of them. Um, Not to mention sort of unsustainable ways of living and sort of shifting the material production to developing countries. I mean, 70% of Australia is now made in China. I mean, or more. And we trade in sort of in Europe and Americas and sort of UK, Australia, and other sort of developed countries, whatever that means. We trade in ideas and services, not yeah. And all of a sudden, these media producers with potentially being a celebrity, like just a click away at the right place at the right time. And so all of a sudden we care about 440 friends on Facebook. We're amazed how things like open source um, breaks Moodle, of course, breaks this sort of established and proper business norms. Okay, we watch or maybe sometimes even participate in sort of uprisings coming from nowhere. We have Dave Carrolls of this world, ordinary people subverting the norms of who says what. Okay. So what I'm trying to kind of tease out is this idea of a discourse. Okay. In a discourse, you mentioned there's a field in where it's important to see whose voice speaks, who is silenced, what knowledge is valid, okay, what knowledge is desirable. Um, a, a teacher was a couple of years ago. There was a teacher in Western Australia who gave an assignment, a maths assignment, to kids. He was being a progressive teacher and all that, and he said, "Well, how would you prepare a terrorist attack to kill as many civilians as possible? Calculate the amounts of all that." I mean, it was not valid. It was not appropriate knowledge. Okay, the discourse, the larger discourse of education society said no. And he was eventually, I think, was in trouble. Even got sacked. And I, for one, I'm glad that. I mean, yeah, it was a bit of a misjudged attempt to be creative, really. Okay, but that wasn't valid knowledge. Okay, a kid on our school Moodle who wanted a fake ID called pedophile wasn't a valid knowledge. Right? I said no, right? But I had the power, right? Just like he has the power to hack into Moodle, right? And it's okay. Look, I don't want to go down the sort of the critical theory and all that, but this kind of sums it up to sort of why am I talking to you like this? What do you expect from me? What gives me the right to speak? I'm if someone says I'm an expert, and I say, well, I'm not an expert because you are the expert of using Moodle in where you work. Okay, I might know, the old tweak and how it worked for me, but really, we are not that different. I'm not some sort of superior. I'm not 75% better than you. Um, and things like who knows how to use Moodle best and why? Why is that? They are the things that. There you go. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's a good story, Martin. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. That's great. Okay. So this is the third kind of paradigm that I'm throwing around tonight is the idea of deconstruction. Okay, it's not destruction. Okay, and again sort of we it goes with that we construct meaning, but actually meaning construct us. It changes us. Okay, we questioned the very idea of progress. The deconstructing kind of came around when people dropped the first atomic bomb and they said, well, hang on. Is that progress? Really? You know? Power and what's considered knowledge flow in multiple directions. It's not just top-down oppression. You know? The world is fluid. There's no certainties, no grand narratives. I'm sure you're familiar with real and virtual ways of doing things blur. You know, who are your friends and friends on Facebook and things like that. You know? And everything can be pulled apart and remixed and repurposed. You know, it's challenging expected norms. A teacher becomes meddler in the middle. A teacher is in there, not some sort of privileged position, but it's right in there, in amongst it. Because things change so fast, okay, it's kind of a good place to be. Okay? So it's all about this particular paradigm. It is about understanding how people's selves and their relationships are made up of what they're made up of, are constituted about power, knowledge, and truth. Which these things are not just imposed, okay? They're more complex. They change according to changing context, historical, social. And I believe that we should analyze how power is embedded and exercised through such things as knowledge, truth, language, text, and institutions. We can never be free from power. We always have the power to do stuff. Okay. Now, if this was, as I said, I don't want to digress into the very theory, but you know, what's this got to do with learning and education? Really? I mean, this is all some sort of French Nouveau stuff. I mean, what's that got to do? Right? But then again, you look at the world around you. I mean, you look at there, and I'm sure you'll find tangents that you go, okay, you know, that kind of makes sense. It's sort of the idea of a discourse goes beyond some just sort of cognitive sort of learning that we are so used to in schools. It's very narrow thinking as well, actually. Because at the moment, you know, things that we know make less and less sense. They're undermined and developed and forgotten. They're faster. Right? And change that so many people talk about, right, just becomes this tinkering with new shiny tools that look good, but they do very little. Okay. Now, someone mentioned the idea of lifelong learning, right? Great idea, but and often repeated, and you know, all that. It's nice, but it comes at a price. It comes at a price of consistent sort of questioning and wondering and anxiety. A sort of, well, am I doing enough here? Am I doing the right thing? And how will I measure up? And I can't get my head around this. How will I, you know? And it's got this sort of existential unease about the whole thing because the whole thing's so damn fluid and it changes. Mm. And school education, if you like, as a discourse, that it positions us and we position it too. Okay, now let's go back to the real world a little bit. And this is our Moodle site. Okay, this is a school that I left yesterday, very dear to my heart. Well, I have sort of different plans from now on. This is the front page. It's all nice. We made it. It looks nice. It's used and stuff like it. Kids, well, yeah, sort of like it, you know. We particularly paid attention to design and the needs and the audience. You know, done the right thing, made navigation smoother. We could see that, you know, poor readers, literacy skills, yeah. So, but then yesterday, I had a fascinating conversation with about 5 kids. It was only yesterday, so this kind of keynote happened on a go. And I asked them about Moodle, and I really asked for honesty. Okay, and this is one of the responses. Moodle sucks because it's all about school. Other than that, it's fine. Okay, this is one of our kids. Um, yeah, they offend all middle class sensibilities within the first 5 minutes, but they're fantastic kids. Okay, so she showed with the finger, but then she could be the most loyal student you'll ever meet. Anyway, so um, and I tweeted this out, and someone said, "Well, that's precisely why we should make Moodle courses more fun." Well, yeah, I've had nothing against making Moodle courses more fun, but that's kind of missing the point. These kids, this is a statement about school. This is about, you know, Moodle is schools, and I don't like school. You know, sort of making that leap. Okay, and And then I had the conversation of what with the kids, but what would they kind of like to see Moodle, right? Well, things not to be monitored. We can have a conversation about teachers that teachers can't see. Um, we watch what we say then, and if you can't say it online, we might as well tell them. Then they get stuffed in their face, and they do. Um, we'd like to have the option of not having to go Moodle. For some things, paper is better. We'll just talk. Okay, so the old overuse of Moodle was a really interesting one. Okay, this also said it's too positive. It's all nice and energetic and cheerful. And the kids say, I'm not talking about bullying, posting stupid stuff, but there are no negative things when there's more criticism and honesty and things like that. You know? Which quite often you look at school websites and they're just cheesy. Where's the conflict? Where's the questioning? Right? And once again, that's disrupting sort of the roles, the established roles. Students are not supposed to question. Okay? In case I'm wondering how I'm connecting this to deconstructivists, right? Um, Kids would like to be in charge of a space on Moodle and decide what to do with it. So straight away, I open up a course, just a social format course for one of the kids, and the kid called it Conway's Forum. Other than that, I showed him how to enroll people because he wants to enroll them manually. The kid got it within 2 minutes. He knew about enrollments. He knew about how to turn anything on and how to add stuff. It took him literally 2 minutes. Okay, think of that in the next Start PD session. Um, and yeah, he's loving it. Okay, they want fake IDs, and to say, and as I said, I can do that, but under one condition that I or at least one or two people need to know who is behind that fake ID, just in case things go wrong. And they were okay with that. Okay, because they are used in the online world to kind of create different identities and things like that. It was a fascinating conversation. Okay, about how Moodle could be better, and we will try to make it that way by opening things up. Okay, so what are the Moodle tools that best support this kind of breaking down the sacred cows, if you like, of who knows and of who speaks, who is listened to. You know, how do we do that? How do we, in a way, prepare for the world that's changes? Yeah, okay. It's actually more like what's the not necessarily Moodle tools, but more like Moodle use to support this. Yeah, that's a big one. I think that's the last one that Martin mentions in those 5 laws. It's if you look at Moodle docs, we kind of play around with the ideas who teaches who. Okay? Yeah, yeah, yes, it's corporate. Yeah, it's it belongs to the company, right? What am I doing here? I'm just trying to please him or what? Where's my stuff? Because we're used to it, right? Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Martin. Very good point. Equal interactivity. While you guys are typing, I'll tell you that we actually got 2 kids now at the school because I'm leaving. I've trained them up for the last 4 weeks that I know I'll be leaving um, to be. I've created a brand new role called student Moodle manager, and they have almost equal rights as the principal. They can't access certain areas that are private, that are hidden, and there's confidential information and all that. But they can create users. They can manage courses. They can create incredibly, and we had very long conversations about responsibility. And the kids, I mean, these are kids at risk students, low literacy and all that. And you should see them all of a sudden. There was this. Hang on, this is cool. Yeah, Of course, they will do stupid thing in there sometimes. I can't. I know they'll do it. Maybe knowing or unknowingly. But it's important to, and the principles are cadence. But it's important to show that trust. I'm not suggesting that you should give every student admin access to university Moodle. No, not at all. I mean, we learn it, but this is, but this is what we imagine, right? Change their fonts and thing, yeah, yeah. They want to make it their own. That's right. And in many ways, that's the introduction. That sort of a better my homepage and all that could help, but not all. That's to some it's cosmetics. To some it actually means a lot. Yeah, and things like there's been a lot of use of these tools and even use for example, massive open online courses, MOOCs, the Dave Cormier, Stephen Downes, Alec Rosa, George Siemens, and all those. They've actually used Moodle for it. I mean, they could have used different tools, admittedly, as well. So it's not so much. Um, it's not so much the choice of a tool, really. But that's where we're heading. Okay? That's where we are meddlers in the middle for the changing world. Okay, and oh yeah, absolutely. With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, they're given a pathway, or they can choose a pathway. It's actually more powerful than give it. We don't take them seriously often enough. We treat them like little kids, and they desperately want to be treated as adults. Yeah, the ones we least expect. Yeah. Okay. Or as Master Yoda says, dangerous work this is. This is really starting to shake some sacred cows of who says what in the school. Huh? And as Dave Cormier posted, he's a good guy to follow on Twitter, and I read his blog regularly, and it's a crazy Canadian, yeah. But the idea, it says, the idea of saying that this is in the context of him opening up a course for students in a similar fashion that we just talked about. And he says, the idea of saying that you understood 92% of the right way of seeing something is the exact opposite of the way I see this course. From a traditional perspective, I want you to cheat. Okay. And you mentioned that word, it's got these sort of ethical connotations, and teaching is supposed to be this high and honored professional teacher. Oh, and many people don't get it. They say, well, the teacher told us to cheat. Well, there's cheating and then there's being resourceful. These are the things we can unpack with clever conversations and clever use of Moodle. Okay. Now, some of the benefits of this view. Now, I'll remind you again, I'll just click back to, so deconstruction. Okay. So there's signs, there's contradictions. We sort of have shifting sands, instant celebrities, fluid world, no certainties, no grand narratives, real and virtual ways things blur. It's all about knowledge and power and truth. Who's truth? Okay. Just flick back to the benefits of this view and problems with this view. Sorry, I'm not offering any tips on how to use Moodle or little tweaks in the classroom and all that. I'll perhaps do that some other time, but I'd really like to tease out some of the sort of the background stuff that drives our use of Moodle. A background thinking that determines what we're going to do with it, what we're going to click on, what are we going to add. The benefits of this view and problems with this view. Hmm. Okay, that one's really small tips and tweaks and education. Some tweaks in education philosophy, yeah. 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 It really, I mean, I'm fascinated by education philosophy, and it's kind of really people just equate education philosophy with sort of, multiple intelligences, educational psychology sort of stuff. Well, yeah, great field. I don't deny some great work done there, but education philosophy is actually quite a different field, and especially things like educational sociology. Like where does all this stuff come from? History of education, fascinating. Yeah. Managing signal to noise ratio, absolutely. Satisfaction. It's also very uncomfortable. It can be very, very threatening. Uh, it's not nice. It's not nice. Um, can be, but not necessarily. Just like the world, the fast shifting world can, it can whack us over the head. We just, just trying to read of, yeah. So it's really, this deconstructivist stuff goes really, it changes the meaning of us, not just what we learn, but what, if we presume that we consist of what we know, then we presume that we know school, that we are school. Okay? It challenges that. And because things are shifting so fast, that things that we know start to make less and less sense, and they're undermined faster. Okay? Kind of lose track of things, and we freak out, and it's hard to manage sometimes. This is exactly Enron's philosophy. Face the problems, leave the comfort. Yeah, absolutely. I can pull these up. Yeah. In what way do you mean the Enron's philosophy? Hmm. Okay. All right. I think I've lost track of my breaks the rules. Absolutely. It breaks the rules. And some rules, and we need to question the rules. Which ones are there to be broken? Sometimes they break themselves. Sometimes the discourse creates and breaks the rules. Discourses are simply fields that, you know, that order who speaks, who doesn't speak. It's not just that ones have the power and everyone else is powerless. Well, everyone else has the power. Sorry, my son's looking at me dimly, saying, "What are you on about, Dad?" Huh? Yeah, hi, Seba. Yeah. Disruptive, definitely, and quite deeply disruptive. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Toby. Just have to say hello to my kids that just got home. Yeah. Some of you know them. Okay. Thank you. This is fantastic. Really, really fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Now what? Um, uh, you know, to kind of tie it all in, if you like, a positivist would like to test to check how well you understood statistic and response to design a better presentation next time. So there would be a test, and you'd be an A or B or C or D, right? On what you actually got this. Did you listen well? An interpretivist would like to maybe has continue a conversation about it and hopefully lead to community of practice, okay, where there's commitment to it and sort of thought and all that. I'm presenting it very nicely here now. And a deconstructivist will not care what you do with this. I mean, happy to see you repurpose and play with it, pull it apart, reassemble to some other goal, whatever. And um, I'm kind of tonight. I'd be the green and the black because I'd like us to continue conversation about it if you like at any time, either through the iMoot site or Twitter, and at Lasic is my handle as well, or my blog or whatever. Um, but then again, I don't care what you do with it really. Repurpose it, fine, great. If it's any use, Put music to it. Yeah, don't. Um, but then it's some other times I would definitely be, as I said, I mentioned chemist before. I definitely would want my chemist to be a positivist, and sometimes I need to be a positivist too. So little takeaway points at the end. I think whether we've gone over time or not, I think we roughly on. There's no, the best way to use Moodle. Whenever I hear that, I just kind of makes my go, oh, kind of shake. Go, what is it? That is so highly contextual. It's like best teaching. Okay, we don't know what best teaching is. Okay, because there are millions of content. Yeah, there's some good practices. There are things that work and all that, but you know, I'm not a believer in panaceas and something that works forever for everyone and everything. And then yeah, some things yeah, but take a bit of grain of salt. So the context rules, individual preferences may be constrained by institutional requirements. You want to be a constructivist uni teacher, right? And you want to have dialogues and all that. But hey, you've got 1,100 little buggers enrolled in your in your unit, and you need to produce, according to university rules, they need to do 2 assignments worth 30% and all that. So guess what you're going to do? Okay. Now, this is how most people use it. I'm not saying there are not some fantastically creative people out there, and I would love to hear love seeing how people use Moodle, especially in some clever ways. But in most cases, that's kind of what happens. Okay. There is also a point that I didn't mention before, but no one sits squarely in one view or paradigm. Okay, I can be, or you can be, sometimes deconstructivist and sometimes a positivist. There's no, but they kind of help us understand a little bit to where kind of things are coming from. Okay, and to understand some of the benefits and problems of it. Okay, they will have merit, and Moodle can accommodate all three, as you guys have just demonstrated just then. But I also believe that the change that we all often talk about, okay, um, especially EdTech Brigade is kind of big on that, and we need to change this, or if people will collaborate more. Well, you know what people do, but there's more to it. Okay, there's more to it. We need to problematize. We need to question a little bit more. Okay, beyond a TED talk or two. Right? It's hardly possible from doing the same things faster and or same things slightly differently. Okay. And I think that is it. Um, in the end, I just scribbled down because I had a look at the schedule just before. Really looking forward to, as I mentioned, Vinny's presser on the forums and Drew buddies in using different learning lenses to build a Moodle course. That's the sort of stuff I'm interested in. Hopefully, some of this stuff will overlap to what I've just talked about as well. Wendy Maboudian, never heard of Wendy, but look forward to her presentation about the learner-centered courses, and Lewis Carr's doing things differently, which I believe is coming up right now, but I think I might have to listen to a recording because the kids want dinner. The nature of iMoot. Okay, so any questions, people? Any questions?
Okay, Julian here. Sadly,
Right, I've lost Julian. He had awful feedback. All I could hear is the word sadly. Now that makes me wonder. And I can't see chat for some reason. Hang on, maybe I go to private chat. No, I can't even do that. Aha, okay. I'll turn my speakers down then. Okay, I've turned my speakers down. Okay. Okay. Look, we have a forum for this keynote, right?
I fixed it.
On the iMoot sites. I'm on Twitter as well. You can find me on email. And feel free to.
Okay, sorry to interject
what you
here.
said was rubbish. I'd like to talk about
I'm actually not shutting Thomas down, but
I really would. And I ideally hope that we meet each other in a pub sometimes or something like that, because there'd be some conversation, yeah. Any questions? Okay. You can turn your speakers now. Hang on, I'm just doing it now.
All right, you can turn it up. I found out why we had the awful feedback. The reason I wanted to come online is that sadly Thomas can't read the chat. So I thought what might be easiest, as you type your questions into the chat for Thomas, I'll just read them out so Thomas can respond. I'm sure after such a huge thought-generating keynote that many of you have questions. So please type them into the chat. I'll then read them out loud for Thomas to respond to.
Yeah. Julian, can you, I don't know if people have more questions, just open on a slide or something like that, but don't be constrained to our space. It's something we do have, I believe. Thank you. I mean, some of your responses were fantastic and original, and yeah, I really value that. Yeah. One person, Alfredo. Hi, Alfredo. I can see the chat. Oh, 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 fantastic. Hi, Trish. Anna, you're not my wife because she's in there. Now I know because she's in there serving dinner. Okay. Hi, man. Thank you. Hey, Stefan, how are you? Yeah, go and feed the cats. Michelle, deconstructing is a bitch. Can be. I can point you out to some reading. It's a twist of the head and all that, but definitely that's kind of what we. I do believe it's the world we live in. Yeah. If I saw the chat, I'd make you work more. Yeah. 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 I like Don's point. I like to see best practices that teachers have used. I can grab bits and insights from and build my own best practice. That's the way to go. You know, that's in my applaud to that, because we sort of bricoleurs. You know, we pull bits. Yeah, that's this. This would work with me. We kind of feast on this smorgasbord, and but one thing one thing that often happens is people see that, and they sort of start to blame themselves. They feel a bit guilty, or should know better. Oh, but this looks, but I won't have time. So it kind of generates anxiety um, to so many times. Uh, people are anxious. But I said, this sort of in these times where everything's accessible and we expect it to be lifelong learners and all. Well, it comes at a price. All these comes at a price. Everything has sort of, it's just the yin and yang. People start to question themselves. Oh, am I doing enough here? Am I up to speed on Moodle? And the features of 2.3, and so yeah. But they're sort of collecting bits and pieces that mold that, and it's something we would encourage students to do all the time. Yeah, that's right. That's actually how I explained this Web 2.0 stuff to my colleague, and she said from then on, things made sense. I said, "Look, Veronica, all this stuff you don't have to know it all. Imagine as this giant smorgasbord table, like size of the football field, and it doubles in size like every 10 days, right? Now, you're never going to eat everything off the table. You will never be able to try everything, but go and see what looks good. Okay, try bits, see if you like it. Okay, get more of it and all that, and to find out what else is good. Well, talk to your friends and tell you about it. Okay, virtual food. There was some cakes floating around last year, I think. Yeah, pictures in the chat. Yeah, well, there you go. Oh well, there's other places to post pictures. Yeah. Um, if you're running any moots in your country and all that, I'll have more time to travel this year or next 3 years because I'm doing a PhD. So if you've got them, let me know, and kind of happy to come around and meet you in person because it just adds a dimension, totally adds a dimension when you see people that you've known Moodle.org for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Okay, I get to be the unpopular one. This session's been fantastic, and obviously there's lots and lots of discussion. But sadly, our next presenters are setting up, and currently there's pretty much nobody in the rooms because you're all sitting right here with Thomas. So obviously on behalf of the iMoot team, I'd like to thank everybody. Look, Thomas, I hope you're going to be hanging around the iMoot a bit more, getting a chance to see some sessions.
Yep.
So you'll be able to catch up with Thomas around the haunts. Thomas, thank you again for a fantastic thought-provoking session. Obviously, you've got everybody chopping at the bit and thinking, which is exactly what a keynote should do. So yeah, on behalf of the team, thank you, and everybody else, it's time to. I think the Australian term is bugger off. Go to the other rooms, share the love, and enjoy the conference.
Go and see Lewis. Okay, see you guys. Thank you very much.